Have you ever looked at a freshly painted wall and still seen the ghost of a patch beneath it? That stubborn bump or depression that just screams, "Repair here." It is one of the most common frustrations in home improvement, making a patched wall truly disappear. But what if there was a simple, repeatable way to make those drywall repairs blend in perfectly, leaving an absolutely smooth, seamless surface? The best way to feather drywall mud smoothly involves using progressively wider joint knives and applying thin, even coats that extend further out with each layer. This approach ensures a gradual, invisible transition from the repair to the original wall surface. The core reason this method works so well is that it slowly tapers the new material into the existing wall, effectively eliminating any abrupt changes in height that would otherwise catch your or a paint roller. By gradually increasing the width of your tools, you distribute the mud's thickness over a larger area, making any thickness change imperceptible. This technique prevents creating a noticeable ridge or crater, which are common issues with less refined methods. To begin, make sure your repair area is clean and free of loose debris. For your first coat, use a 4-inch or 6-inch joint knife to fill the actual hole or crack completely, pressing firmly to remove air bubbles. Once that first layer is completely dry, which can take several hours depending on humidity, lightly sand it smooth with fine grit sandpaper to knock down any high spots. Then, for your second coat, switch to an 8-inch or 10-inch joint knife. Apply another very thin layer of mud, extending it about 2 inches wider than your first coat on all sides. Remember, the key here is thinness. Use light, even pressure, especially at the edges of your knife, to feather the mud out to a paper-thin finish. Allow this coat to dry fully and sand it again until it feels smooth to the touch. Finally, for your third and often less coat, pick up a 12-inch joint knife. This final layer will extend even further, about 2 inches wider than the second coat. Apply this mud with minimal pressure, truly just skimming the surface to fill any tiny imperfections and create that perfect, wide, seamless blend. When applying each coat, always pull the mud towards the center of the patch, then gently lift the outer edge of your knife to reduce pressure, creating that desired feather-thin edge. Once dry, your final sanding should be very light, using a fine grit sponge or sandpaper, and critically, use a bright work light held at an angle to highlight any remaining imperfections. This special lighting technique will reveal any shadows caused by unevenness, allowing you to address them before painting. This careful, multi-stage process is often referred to as skimming or floating the patch, turning a visible repair into a perfectly integrated part of your wall. An insider tip is to avoid applying mud too thick at any stage, as this is the primary cause of unsightly humps and ridges. Another useful tool is a mud pan and scoop, which makes handling and applying the joint compound much cleaner and more efficient than working directly from the bucket. Always remember to clean your tools thoroughly immediately after use, as dried mud is much harder to remove and can leave streaks on future projects. By patiently applying multiple thin coats of drywall mud with progressively wider joint knives, and paying close attention to feathering the edges to near invisibility, you are not just patching a wall. You are mastering a technique that ensures every repair is completely seamless, creating a truly professional-looking finish that enhances the beauty and value of your home, and makes those wall imperfections a distant memory.